My name is Godwin Onuoha. I'm an African Research Fellow in the Democracy, Governance and Service Delivery Program of the Human Sciences Research Council. Well, the HSRC is the statutory research council of the Republic of South Africa, established in 1968. And we conduct research, policy-relevant research to advise government agencies, government departments, and civil society organizations. Partnerships can be at different levels, but for the purpose of the Southern Voices Network, I think we can look at partnership from the level of addressing specific themes that are relevant to research on the African continent. Themes like governance, conflict issues, peace and security issues. So having a broad research agenda around those issues and also having conferences, multilateral collaborations within institutions in Africa can be a source of collaboration. Well, Africa and the study of Africa is a big issue generally. This stems from the colonial period and even up to the post-independent era. The study of Africa and what Africa actually means is probably the most contested terrain of study today globally. So the misconceptions about Africa, you can have a lot of them. But I think it stems from looking at Africa from a deficit mode. People, when you talk about Africa, they start from the negative things they see about Africa. And I think that's one of the things that has to be corrected. Those misconceptions about Africa must be addressed. We must start looking at Africa from the point of view of the positive things we can identify, and there are a lot of them on the continent. Yeah, the most pressing issue facing the continent for me would have to be the issue of governance. Governance at different levels. We can start with the issue of the nation state itself, the unresolved crisis, of the national question, issues of citizenship, issues of state legitimacy, and how it can incorporate all of its multi-ethnic groups within a specific context. We can also look at issues of natural resource governance, given the fact that Africa is a resource-rich continent with different countries with different resources. I think the issue of natural resource governance has come to the fore again, given the impact of the global restructuring, where you have different countries from the global south and the north coming into Africa for resource extraction. So I think these are some of the levels we have to address in order to have a sustainable economic development. Yeah, I think that's important because when you're making policy about specific areas in Africa or specific countries in Africa, you really need research expertise emanating from those contexts in order to inform your policy. It's not enough to sit somewhere in Washington or New York and make a policy regarding a country where you have not really developed any research expertise, or where you think what is happening there is what you're familiar with. And a very good example has to do with the way structural adjustment and all of those development policies were implemented in Africa in the last 2 decades. We have situations where the local context was not taken into consideration. And even issues of democracy, you have to look at local peculiarities in all of this context. I think for people who are not familiar with Africa, the voices coming out of Africa can inform policy at that level. Well, for me, I think, like I said earlier on, the issue of collaboration is one. Secondly, it also provides a platform for our research and research activities to come to the fore. Issues of peace and security on the continent, governance of natural resources, issues around development broadly, and ideas around development, and sort of democratizing the space for multiple views. It's what I think the Southern Voices has brought to fore. Hearing from different researchers from different parts of the continent, hearing from different people with different experiences on the continent. I think that's one of the things Southern Voices has been able to do.